I went into the Army in 1942. It was recommended that, almost demanded, that upon graduation from high school you go right down to the draft board and register for the draft. We were aware that there were various camps, DP camps, also prisoner of war camps. But the concentration camps, or what we called the death camps, were a complete secret. We had no idea until the day that we walked into their gates.
And as we entered a city which was called Rosenheim, we smelt a very unusual odor throughout the city. But being a physician, the odor was unmistakable, and I got permission from my commanding officer to take a jeep, and with 3 other enlisted men, we drove the 8 kilometers, and there we found a large area which was completely surrounded by barbed wire. And the closer we got, the more intense the odor became. The gates were open, and as we drove in, we saw hundreds of emaciated people running around with what appeared to be striped pajamas. We later found out that these were not pajamas, but these were prison clothes.
I'm going to tell you now, I never want to see a sight again as we saw when we pulled in there. 14,000, and in the letter, by the way, I said 1,400. 14,000 starving, diseased, stinking people. It was terrible. I'm 21 writing this. Most of them were Jews that Hitler had put away for safekeeping. Some of them had been in camps for as long as 8 years. So help me, I don't see how they stood it. No longer were most of them people. They were nothing but things that were once human beings. As we pulled off of the highway into the camp, we had to shove them off of the truck. And I almost feel ashamed in saying this, but I told you, we were so afraid they were going to overwhelm us. They were so glad to see us.
They didn't know what it was, whether it was a jail or a concentration camp. But there were a lot of people around, running around. Well, there were I learned later, there were 18,000 people in the camp, starved, sick, dying, and about 700 bodies.
We asked them where the records were located, and they didn't know. We found the commandant's office, and we searched that, and he must have taken them or burnt them before he left.
That was our initial appearance in the camp, and I'll tell you, it was very shocking, because I'd never seen anything like it or ever heard of anything exactly like it. So here we were with this tremendous problem. I organized a stronger patrol with some medical people, and we went back.
We brought food, as I said, the very next day, and they gorged themselves on the food. Everyone who gorged themselves got very, 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 very ill because their body could not handle the food that we gave them. When the Red Cross came, they had some nutritionists with them, and they were able to handle the dietary portion for these people.
The doctor told me, he said, you cannot feed these people. If you even hit 1,000 calories, that's almost too much. And so we started out feeding them with very weak potato soup.
We spent 93 days there.
And I hit, I can sit here now, I'm shaking all over. Shaking all over and talking about it 50 years later. But it never goes away, you know. I dream of it, then all this other stuff just flashes right up before my eyes. It looks surreal for a second. You think you're there. And it's hard to get out of your mind. And I don't think that anybody will ever, that had that kind of experience, will ever get that out of their mind.
They had no idea just what they were sending us into. And it was bad enough to see death on the battlefield, even when the enemy was shooting at us. But to go and see death on this grand scale, it was just a terrible thing. And terrible is a mild word.